What is going on, Cocky Nation? This is another great episode of your favorite podcast with your two favorite people, or at least one favorite. I know Brandon's a little iffy, but we got a lot to talk about today.
What is up with you just digging into me the past 2 weeks?
I just want to see if you catch on. Well, I always think about, for all of our veteran fans, I always think about how back when Eric was still on the show, and he would always play that one song that Brandon absolutely tremendously hated.
Is yours gonna be just absolutely digging into me,
Finding something
just
every week.
annoying the crap out of me?
Yes. So, anyways, so for Brandon's got me off track. So we do have a lot of things that we want to talk to you guys about tonight. Some updates on basketball, but we do have a really big update that we wanted to give each and every one of you in case you haven't heard yet. Brandon, would you like to share the good news?
Yeah, so we aren't going anywhere on this network because FCS Fans Nation Network is now just Fans Nation Network. There are a couple of podcasts in I don't want to say lineup, but like
Development.
in development to like join our network. So like I've heard that JMU podcasts are interested in joining. A Summit League volleyball podcast is interested in joining. So yeah, we're growing our brand as we change the brand as well to include other sports and expand our reach into the FBS realm. Because since we're not going anywhere, we're moving up to the FBS. So this network has officially kind of dove into the FBS realm, and the fact that JMU podcasts are interested in joining. Yeah, this is an exciting time for this network. So we are no longer FCS Fans Nation Network. We are just Fans Nation Network.
In other words, Brandon and I kissed the right butts to make sure that we stayed.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But we are excited. Brandon and I have talked about it a couple times over the last few weeks, just about like what could this look like, and the benefits and the possibilities that can look for our podcast ourselves, because we get it. You don't want to see our face each and every time, or listen to just me and Brandon each and every time. So we're looking at trying to form some collabs and bring in some people, especially once we get back into the fall season, when we start talking about volleyball again, especially if that Summit League podcast is joining. And then especially once we get into the football season, working with the Dukes, with James Madison, just kind of
bringing on maybe some football people at JSU.
Exactly.
Cody and I have also talked about this a lot, like off camera. The possibility of finding a third person to bring onto the podcast and basically be another co-host. So Eric is adulting. I mean, we're all adulting, but Eric has his priorities in order, and so he's probably not going to come on as often. He'll come on probably occasionally, but I think we're going to look at possibly bringing a permanent third person on. So if you're interested, DM us on our Cocky Nation Twitter or Instagram, or privately DM me on Facebook, and we can talk about it. So yeah, if you're interested, just DM us.
Brandon wants to get mad at me dogging on him. He just dogged on me like I don't have my crap together. Bruh, I bought a house. I bought a car. I got married. I got a job. I'm making it somewhat. We're there.
Uh-huh.
How's grad school?
It's going. I almost got sent on a wild goose chase to get registered for a class that I was on a wait list for. And I was like, I'm not about to do that. By the time I get in, it would be a month. I would be a month behind, and I don't feel like playing catch up. I could. I mean, I've done it before. but I don't want to go through that again,
Mhm.
mentally, especially. So yeah, my graduation has gotten pushed back from the original date, which was going to be April 29th, to sometime in August. So whatever the graduation date is for August, that'll be when I graduate.
Well, and we're excited for that, and we'll make sure that we share some information on that as well once they send out that information. But
I'm just ready to be done. I am so tired of school.
it's you and me both, my guy. You and me both. But I can never leave school because teacher. But
I'd rather
regardless,
teach than actually be in school.
he says that now. I love my job. I just want to reiterate that it is
Okay, you're a core teacher. I am not.
like I have papers to grade after this podcast that tells you how much I'm adulting.
Yeah, you're like I said, you're a core teacher. I am not.
But regardless, let's go ahead and let's dive into our sport of our season, which is again basketball. And Brandon and I have already been discussing this, and I just need a moment.
It's frustrating.
It
It's
is
so
frustrating
frustrating.
because the exact same thing that we keep talking about just keeps happening. Now, again, we've reiterated this multiple times. We're not basketball players and we completely understand that. But at the same time, I need somebody to explain to me what is going wrong because both times this week we have lost by not much. We lost the Florida Gulf Coast
By
50
4.
by 4, and then the Stetson game we lost by 6. And so, we're going to go ahead and start by looking at the Florida Gulf Coast game, and just the numbers. The numbers are just rough. Now, to be fair, the numbers are also rough for Florida Gulf Coast. Like they apparently were just not on their game either. But this isn't a Florida Gulf Coast podcast. This is a Cocky Nation podcast. So I'm not too worried about their numbers. But we were 19 for 54 field goals, two for 17 3-pointers. Free throws, we have no problem for the most part. 31 rebounds, non-offensive rebounds, 8 assists, 8 steals, 3 blocks, 15 turnovers, 32 points in the paint. I just why? What Brandon, explain to me what is going on, or at least what your thought is.
What it seems like is we're competitive. We are competitive. It just seems like we cannot finish a game. Some people have been commenting on our last video saying that there are a few different changes to this team, which, yeah, I mean, there are different starters. And so, I mean, I'd have to look a little bit deeper into the roster to see how young exactly we are, but that's what it's seeming like. It seems like we are a very young team, even though we have a lot of players that either start or get rotated in that were from last year's team. So I don't know if it's just the fact that this team is gelling, but not gelling enough to like finish out a game. But it's very frustrating, especially when you've had a multitude of close losses in non-conference and conference play.
Right.
Like if we were able to finish out a lot of those close games, we would have a winning record right now. But that is not the case. We are 8-13 right now, and 1-7 in conference play.
I mean, my mentality on it all is just the fact that, like, I just don't understand why we're getting gassed so quickly. Like, we're losing the momentum at the end, and like we're holding up for the most part because okay, so if we take a look at the Stetson game, okay, so numbers are fairly similar as far as stats go. 28 for 54, field goals, 11, 28, 3-pointers, 14 for 24, free throws, 22 rebounds, so on and so forth. But like, it's just like, if you look at where we're at, like by the half, it's 43 to 54. So we are a little behind. We're 9 points behind in the
Right.
first half. But then by the second half, like, we keep it close. But I don't understand if it's a keep it close and then we just get tired or what. But like, what's really been bothering me is, like, again, I appreciate the fact that at least these games are close. It's just like if we talk about Alabama football, how they were comparing for the playoffs, losses. And yes, Alabama had 2 losses, but it was by a field goal or so on and so forth. And so, we are keeping it close. But the problem is that we're not, like, it'd be one thing if it was like 1 or 2 games, but it's another when it's a continuation. I mean, we're 8 for 13. We're 8 and 13. We're 13th in the ASUN conference. Like, there's no system. There's no change. Like it's the same thing. Score game by game by game. The games are lost by 10 or less. And I think the only ones that were more than 10 would be North Florida, Bellarmine, Liberty, and the first time we played Jacksonville. So I don't know. Like, it's just, what do we need to do? Like, is it a rotation? Like, because like I've looked at the like who plays, right? So if you're looking at the rosters, Purdue played almost 30 minutes of the game. Okay. And only racked up 15 points. In the Florida Gulf Coast game, he had more points, played about the same amount of time. Is it we need to rotate players a little bit more, like, so that they're not getting gassed so much? Or is it the argument of, well, if you swap out and if you swap out players that much, some of those players aren't as good as the other ones? Okay, that's fair. But if you can, if I would rather have a fresh player that can play some solid defense than a great player that is tired by the end of the game, that is struggling to keep up. At least that's me personally. But I don't know, man. I just I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Yeah, I mean, if we continue playing like this, there is no way we are going to make the ASUN tournament, because the ASUN tournament is only accepting the top 10 teams, which is a whole nother story. I personally, if the SEC can make 14 teams work, then the ASUN can as well. I don't know, because we play our games at campus sites, so I don't know if the travel aspect kind of limits us on having all 14 teams involved in the tournament. But I mean, it's plain and simple. If we don't turn something around and at least finish 9th or 10th in the ASUN standings, we're not going to go to the tournament. Like, we're gonna finish the season like we did when I first started at JSU, where we were finishing at the bottom of the bottom of the OVC, and this time we'll finish at the bottom of the ASUN right before we're going to Conference USA. And speaking of that, this is not a good way, in my opinion. This is not a good way to go out in the ASUN, especially with how Conference USA is playing this year. I mean, CUSA is the number 10 conference in college basketball right now. So if we don't do something to at least prove ourselves, next season especially is going to look rough.
I mean, if you look at our schedule, we got 10 games left.
Yeah.
Like 10 regular season games. And if we go through this one by one, Lipscomb should be a win, in my opinion.
Should be.
Austin P, I would say it'd be a win, but I would be lying to myself.
I think it'll be a win.
Eastern Kentucky, I don't know.
No. That won't
Bellarmine.
be a win.
Bellarmine.
That should be a win.
Should be a win. Kennesaw, twice.
That will not be a win. We will lose both of those.
Yeah. Queens University.
We will lose that one. We will lose that one.
Liberty, Central Arkansas.
We will lose that one. We will beat Central Arkansas.
And North Alabama should be a win. But
because that's at home. The last game, I think, is at home, is it not?
Or is it at UNA? It's at UNA.
We might lose that one.
And see, that's the problem, is that this shouldn't even be a topic of discussion. Like, I get it. Every good program has bad years. Or at least, for the most part, most programs. I mean, unless you're Duke, then
North Carolina,
most of the time you don't have a bad season. Or you'll have a rough season, but you won't have a bad season.
Right.
But the problem is that we just can't, there's no consistency. And that's what we're running into right now, is that as we try to create more of a consistency, we do, arguably speaking, we have a consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And that consistency is we're almost there, and then we drop.
Right.
We stop. And sorry, Flynn, I woke my dog up.
Oh, poor boy.
I know, right? But that's the problem, is that that's a good and a bad consistency to have. It's good to keep up with the teams that are really good, but it's bad that we're losing to teams that we should be beating by only less than 10 points.
Right.
And so I hope that we make the proper adjustments, because arguably speaking, even if we win the next 10 games, even if we won our last 10 games, we're not making it to the ASUN conference title. I'm sorry.
No, we'll make the tournament. We won't make it to the title.
No. And again, that's if we win all 10, and I don't think we will.
That would put us at 18-13.
Exactly. So I'm sorry. I hate to speak bad about a JSU sport, but at the same time,
this is the worst they have performed
in a while,
a very long time.
And that's
going on almost 10-ish years.
Yeah. And that's what bothers me, is again, you can have bad seasons, but I hope that this isn't a bad season that stays for the long run, because again, as Brandon reiterated, we are about to make a jump to the Conference USA for everything. And if that's the case, then we need to make sure that we're playing as a Conference USA team.
Right.
We don't have to be the best, but we need to play better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like in football. We need to play good. We don't need to be the best. It'd be great if we were the best, but next year it doesn't really matter, because we can't go for a
title.
Yeah, we can't go for a title anyways. So, hopefully we make the necessary adjustments. At this point, I would call this season a loss, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say that, because I know that there's fans that probably are listening to this and are like, haha, I told you JSU was not that good. I don't really care. Everybody's got bad seasons. I don't want to hear a word from North Dakota State. Come on now.
I mean, shoot. Let's not even people seem to forget that when the preseason rankings, conference rankings came out, JSU was predicted to finish third. And right now we're sitting next to last.
I don't understand. I had high hopes, and then those hopes got broken. I think that's
I don't know what it was. We had a pretty decent out of conference performance. So I just don't know. Like,
I don't know.
I mean, I hate to say it, but JSU has set a pretty low standard for the rest of the season already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I mean, we're still going to cover everything, but like it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the rest of the season.
I'm looking for the end of the season, not because I hate our team, because I don't. I think we have a really good team. We're just making bad choices. And I don't know if that's from a coaching standard or from a team standard. But it's hard. It's hard to talk like this about a team that you appreciate, because then you're like, well, geez, like, how do you move on from this? And like, I know that there's greener grass on the other side and that there's always next season, but at the same time, we're not at next season.
Right.
We're in this season. And so, it's rough. It's rough.
Like, it's getting to the point where, speaking of which, I need to look at the baseball and softball schedules to see if they've been released.
So far, I haven't seen it.
It's getting to the point where I'm ready to. I mean, it was like football season last year when we knew that we were not making the playoffs. We were ready to move on to basketball, and we literally switched our focus to basketball way earlier than what we used to.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to start covering baseball and softball now.
Yeah. Well,
and I hate to say that, but it seems like this season is a loss.
Yeah.
I hope they prove me wrong. I hope we go on a 10-game win streak and we finish 18-13. I hope they prove me wrong.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? But let's go ahead and let's talk about our cocky predictions for the next two games. So again, this week, yes, we're not very happy with how things are going with JSU basketball. That does not mean that you should not support the team. And so we do have two games that are coming up. We have Lipscomb on the 26th, which is Thursday at 8 p.m. And then we also have Austin Peay on Saturday at 4 p.m. If you ask me, I want to say Lipscomb's going to be a win. I think I'm going to say a win by 5, because we've been keeping it close. So I'm hoping that we win it by close. I'd like to win by more, but you just never know. And then Austin Peay, we'll lose it by 6.
I'm gonna go opposite. I think Lipscomb is sitting at 5th in the conference right now. Overall record, 13-8, conference record 5-3. I gotta, and this statement is gonna taste like vinegar coming out of my mouth, because it's the same phrase we say every FCS season. I gotta go with the Bison. I gotta go Lipscomb. I've got to go Lipscomb.
That hurt. That hurt like in here to hear
I'm gonna
you say that phrase.
I'm gonna say it's a I'm gonna say it's a 13-point home loss. Now, as for Austin Peay, there's history. We've been to Austin Peay games before, and when we should have beat them, the refs helped Austin Peay out. ASUN refs seem to be pretty fair.
We hope. We hope.
I'm going to say it's a very close win for JSU against Austin Peay. A very close win. I'm talking like last minute 1 or 2 point win, maybe 3-point win.
Well, I guess we will just have to wait and see. I'll probably catch a little bit of the Thursday game, but I will unfortunately not be able to catch any of the Austin P games, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I will be keeping up with it close, same as Brandon. And of course, guys, we just want to thank you for listening. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on all of our social media platforms on Twitter and on Instagram. It's at Cocky_Nation. And on Facebook, it's Cocky Nation JSU Podcast. Of course, if you're not already following us, remember that we are not FCS Fan Nations anymore. We are Fan Nations Network. So go ahead and follow the Fans Nation Network on Twitter, and then also all of our fantastic podcasts that are involved in the network. Again, and be on the lookout for any updates as we get more information about these new podcasts that will be joining up with us. And then, of course, we love each and every one of you, and thank you for listening to us. Brandon, any last remarks?
Be on the lookout for the Marching Southerners 2023 show announcement. This has been an interesting show reveal. If people don't already know, like for JSU people that don't already know, this is Dr. Bodiford's 30th year. So what they're doing is they're letting people vote for each movement over Dr. Bodiford's time at JSU. So they've split it up to like each movement, and you get to pick your favorite selection for said movements. So the only selection that has been revealed is Reflection from Mulan. So I'm very excited about that.
Where was
voting,
that?
huh?
Where was that released at?
On the article that was released?
I didn't see that.
Oh my God, Cody.
So which movement is that? That'll
be the push.
Okay.
So if you have not voted, we will post it on the Cocky Nation Facebook page. And please go vote. Just put your input in. I'm fairly certain Malagueña will be performed for a fourth time.
Probably.
I
threw in
as much as I want Day of Wrath.
Yeah. I threw in a couple that were so ultimately the plan for it was, and we'll do this real quick. The ultimate plan for this was to just like bring back the nostalgia of his time there. Now it was interesting because if you look at the selections, if you went through like the actual voting process, they didn't choose like every option from every year. They only picked certain ones because
there were certain intros that were not included.
Yeah, so there is a format there of like which direction they're trying to go with it. So it's interesting to say enough, but like I remember like some of the options that I chose. Like I remember choosing 2012's portion from Off Law Way. I think I chose the opener for, I can't remember. But I remember like choosing that. I remember choosing something from the 2017 show, Angels Among Us. I thought that was a really big moment for us. I remember picking a portion from the 96 show. So I tried to like mix it up just a little bit because, you know, I think that's the biggest part about this is that it's a huge community of people that are remembering the nostalgic moments of their time.
Yeah, I did quite a few shows because I have a lot of favorites, but after actually listening to all of the shows from 1994 all the way to like now, I actually tried to space it out all across his entire career. So I tried to pick selections that spanned over the 4 decades that he hasn't been there for 4 decades, but he's been there for the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. So I tried to pick something from each decade, and there was 2 that I picked from the same decade. But I just recently made a list of my favorites that I performed So I'm about to go put that vote in. So, but yeah, we'll post on the Facebook page, and please go vote. This is going to be a special show. I may cry. So,
well, we'll definitely be looking out for it. And
yeah.
guys, again, we thank you for each and every one of you for what you do to support us.
Hello, Cody. Well, all right. I guess since he is kind of MIA right now,
Hello.
I will. Hey, there you are.
I have no idea what just happened.
I have no idea.
I am so sorry. But anyways, so I think we were gonna wrap this up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you for everything that you're doing, and we appreciate you guys. And go Gamecocks, and fear the beak.